She made the whole world laugh. But behind the laughter, she cried alone. Once beloved as America's sweetheart, Cindy Williams became a household name as Shirley Feeney on Laverne and Shirley. But few knew the real woman behind the cheerful sitcom star. Behind the scenes, a life marked by heartbreak, fading fame, and quiet tragedy. This is the untold story of Cindy Williams, a story of love, loss, and legacy. The shocking goodbye. On January 25, 2023, the world lost a beloved piece of television history. Cindy Williams, the bright and spirited actress who made millions laugh as Shirley Feeney, passed away at the age of 75 in Los Angeles, California. Her death was described by family as the result of a brief illness, but beyond that, no further medical details were released. And maybe that's what made it all the more shocking. Cindy had still made occasional public appearances. Her warmth, her quick wit, and that familiar sparkle in her eye, none of it had seemed to dim. She wasn't just a face from the past. She was still, quietly, very much a part of people's lives, and suddenly she was gone. Her children, Emily and Zachary, released a deeply heartfelt statement through a family spokesperson. The passing of our kind, hilarious mother, Cindy Williams, has brought us insurmountable sadness that could never truly be expressed. Knowing and loving her has been our joy and privilege. She was one of a kind, beautiful, generous, and possessed a brilliant sense of humor and a glittering spirit that everyone loved. There was no star-studded farewell, no televised tribute, no extravagant memorial, because that's not who Cindy was. Her funeral was held in private, in keeping with her family's wishes. It was a modest and intimate service attended only by close family and a handful of lifelong friends. Those who had known the real Cindy beyond the fame, beyond the sitcoms. She was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hollywood Hills, a serene cemetery that overlooks the city where her dreams once took flight. Forest Lawn is a place that holds legends. Stars like Lucille Ball, Bette Davis, and Carrie Fisher rest there. And now, Cindy too has joined them, not just as a star, but as a soul who brought light to millions. As the sun set over the San Fernando Valley that day, it was hard not to feel the quiet symbolism. Cindy Williams, who had once stood under the brightest lights of American television, had slipped away gently, choosing a final chapter that echoed her later life. Peaceful, dignified, and far from the noise of Hollywood. In a world that often confuses fame with worth, Cindy's quiet exit was a reminder of who she truly was. Not just a sitcom icon, but a woman of grace, humility, and deep personal integrity. Her fans around the world mourned, not just for the actress they remembered, but for the warmth she radiated, the values she embodied, and the part of our cultural memory she helped shape. A love story that didn't last. At the height of her fame in 1982, just as Laverne and Shirley was dominating American television screens, Cindy Williams embarked on a new kind of journey: marriage. She wed Bill Hudson, a musician and actor best known as a member of the Hudson Brothers, a pop rock group that had carved out its own slice of stardom in the 1970s. To the outside world, it looked like a perfect match: a TV darling and a pop idol. The media eagerly followed their union, fascinated by the blending of television royalty with music world cool. Bill Hudson wasn't new to the spotlight. He was already famous for his high-profile marriage to Goldie Hawn and for being the father of actors Kate and Oliver Hudson. But this marriage was supposed to be different. Cindy, ever private and grounded, seemed to be searching for more than just headlines. She wanted stability, love, and a real partnership. And for a time, it looked like she had found it. The couple welcomed 2 children together, Emily and Zachary, and Cindy often spoke of motherhood as the greatest role of her life. In interviews, she described her kids as the center of her universe, saying that becoming a mother redefined what success meant to her. Fame, awards, and red carpets now took a backseat to bedtime stories, school plays, and family dinners. She became more selective with her roles, carefully balancing Hollywood with home life. But as the years went by, the pressures of 2 careers, public scrutiny, and personal differences began to weigh heavily on their relationship. After nearly 18 years of marriage, Cindy and Bill divorced in 2000. There was no scandal, no public feuds, just a quiet end to a long chapter, handled with the same grace and dignity that defined much of Cindy's life. Rather than using her platform to air grievances, Cindy focused on what mattered most: co-parenting her children and moving forward in peace. Through it all, she found strength in her Roman Catholic faith. Raised with strong spiritual values, Cindy remained a practicing Catholic throughout her life. Her beliefs weren't performative, they were deeply personal, shaping her decisions and giving her comfort during heartbreak and transition. She attended Mass regularly, leaned on her church community for support, and spoke of faith not as a brand, but as a source of inner calm. In many ways, Cindy's approach to life after divorce reflected who she truly was. Not a celebrity chasing headlines, but a woman searching for meaning, authenticity, and peace. A quiet life, surrounded by love. When the camera stopped rolling and the sitcom lights dimmed, Cindy Williams didn't chase the Hollywood spotlight. She did something far more rare. She stepped away. Far from the red carpets and gated estates of her celebrity peers, Cindy chose a life of modesty, simplicity, and love. She made her home in a cozy townhouse in Woodland Hills, a quiet neighborhood nestled in the San Fernando Valley. Just close enough to Hollywood to feel its echo, but far enough to find peace. This home wasn't extravagant. It wasn't built to impress. Instead, it was a sanctuary, a safe haven filled with warmth, laughter, and a deep sense of compassion. Her closest companions? Four-legged family members. Cindy was a lifelong animal lover and advocate, and her home became a refuge not just for her, but for the animals she rescued and cherished. She shared her life with a cat named Pharaoh and 3 beloved dogs, Louie, Polly, and Eddie. Each had their own story. Each had been abandoned, neglected, or forgotten, until Cindy opened her door and her heart. Take Eddie, for example. Found by Cindy on a scorching hot day, left alone and vulnerable. She didn't hesitate. She took him in, gave him shelter, and showered him with love. And that was who Cindy was. Quietly generous, fiercely compassionate, always watching out for the voiceless. Inside her home, friends described a place filled with affection. Photos of her pets lined the walls. Beds and toys were scattered in every room. You could hear the soft padding of paws on tile, the occasional bark echoing through the hallway, and always Cindy's voice, speaking to her animals like family because to her they were. But Cindy's love for animals didn't end at her front door. In 2011, while performing in a local theater production, she did something remarkable. After every show, she introduced a real stray dog from a local shelter to the audience, hoping someone would be moved to adopt. Not as a publicity stunt, but because she believed in using every opportunity, every platform to make a difference. It wasn't just a one-time gesture, it became a signature act of kindness. Audiences came for the play, but they left with a story, and sometimes a dog. Cindy didn't just talk about compassion, she lived it. She volunteered at animal shelters, gave generously both with money and time, and stayed active in community rescue efforts. She didn't need headlines. She didn't want credit. For Cindy, kindness was not a performance. It was a lifestyle. Her home reflected her heart, a place of quiet creativity where she continued to write, reflect, and dream. Where her days were filled with small joys, walks with her dogs, curled up afternoons with Pharaoh the cat, laughter with close friends, and cherished phone calls with her children. She rarely attended Hollywood galas in her later years. She didn't care about trends or status. What mattered to her was purpose and presence. To many, Cindy Williams was a sitcom icon, but to those who truly knew her, she was something far more powerful. A woman who chose love over fame, substance over status, and who built a life that, while quieter than the spotlight, shone brighter than most ever see. From humble roots to Hollywood dreams, long before the world knew her as Shirley Feeney, Cindy Williams was just a quiet, imaginative little girl with a dream, and no shortcuts to get there. She was born Cynthia Jane Williams on August 22, 1947, in Van Nuys, California, to a working-class family rooted in love, faith, and determination. Her mother, also named Cindy, worked long shifts as a waitress, always on her feet, always smiling, always sacrificing. Her father, Beechard Bill Williams, held a job in the emerging field of electronics manufacturing, a growing industry in the post-war economy of Southern California. There was no Hollywood glamour in Cindy's childhood, just hard work, family dinners, and the quiet encouragement of parents who believed in her, even when fame seemed like an impossible dream. When she was just a year old, the family relocated to Dallas, Texas, likely in search of better opportunities. They stayed nearly a decade before returning to Los Angeles when Cindy was 10, unknowingly placing her right at the heart of the entertainment world, just as she was discovering her voice. Back in California, Cindy lived with her younger sister Carol Ann, and it was during these formative years that her talent first began to surface. Not on television, not on stage, but in the humble setting of her local church, where she acted in plays, wrote her own little scripts, and found joy in performance. "That was the first place I ever felt like I belonged," she once said. "Standing on that stage in a church basement, pretending to be someone else. I felt like me." At Birmingham High School in Van Nuys, she continued to nurture her talent, appearing in school productions and dazzling classmates with her comedic timing and natural charisma. She wasn't loud or flashy, but on stage she came alive. She graduated in 1965, just 1 year behind another future Hollywood icon, Sally Field. Something special was clearly in the air. After high school, while many rushed to auditions, Cindy took a more grounded route. She enrolled at Los Angeles City College, LACC, and majored in theater, studying classical technique, modern drama, and stagecraft. Surrounded by other passionate, hungry artists, she began to see acting not just as a dream, but as a craft, a discipline, and a calling. But Cindy's big break wouldn't come in a dramatic film or a stage production. It came in TV commercials. She began booking spots for companies like Foster Grant Sunglasses and Trans World Airlines TWA. It wasn't glamorous, but it was her foot in the door, and she made the most of every moment in front of the camera. That led to guest roles on early 70s TV hits like Room 222, Nanny and the Professor, and Love, American Style. She quickly earned a reputation in Hollywood for being warm, reliable, and exceptionally funny, a combination directors loved. And then came the moment that changed everything. In 1973, Cindy was cast in George Lucas's breakout film American Graffiti, opposite a young Ron Howard. She played Laurie Henderson, the high school sweetheart everyone rooted for. Set against a nostalgic 1960s backdrop, the film was a love letter to teenage innocence, and Cindy's performance was its beating heart. For that role, she earned a BAFTA nomination for Best Supporting Actress and gained instant credibility in the film world. From there, she starred in Francis Ford Coppola's The Conversation, 1974, alongside Gene Hackman, proving she could handle serious, complex material just as effortlessly as she handled comedy. And just like that, Cindy Williams, a once shy girl writing church plays, was now working with some of the most visionary directors of her generation. Her talent was undeniable, her presence magnetic. But her true breakthrough, the one that would define her career and make her a household name, was still waiting. Just around the corner. From guest star to TV legend, the Laverne and Shirley phenomenon. It was supposed to be a one-time guest spot. In 1975, Cindy Williams and Penny Marshall were invited to appear on an episode of the hit sitcom Happy Days. They were cast as two quirky factory workers, Shirley Feeney and Laverne DeFazio, on a double date with Richie Cunningham, Ron Howard, and Fonzie, Henry Winkler. The chemistry between Cindy and Penny? Instant, electric, unforgettable. Audiences fell in love with them, not just as funny female characters, but as a dynamic duo who felt real, relatable, and refreshingly different. Their performance was so popular, producer Gary Marshall, Penny's brother, quickly greenlit a spin-off. And in 1976, Laverne and Shirley was born. Set in the 1950s Milwaukee, the show followed two working-class best friends, sharing an apartment and working as bottle cappers at the fictional Schatz Brewery. It was zany, heartfelt, and uniquely female-driven, a rarity in TV at the time. Cindy's character, Shirley Feeney, was sweet, idealistic, a bit uptight, but always loyal and full of charm. She was the perfect foil to Penny Marshall's brassy, tough-talking Laverne. Together, they created one of the most iconic female friendships in television history. Schlemiel, Schlimazel, Hassan Pfeffer Incorporated. That infectious chant from their opening credits became a cultural anthem, a symbol of friendship, resilience, and fun. At its peak, Laverne and Shirley was the #1 show on American television, rivaling juggernauts like MASH, Happy Days, and All in the Family. Week after week, millions tuned in to watch Laverne and Shirley navigate life, love, laundromats, and low-paying jobs, all with heart and humor. For Cindy, it was more than a role, it was a legacy. She brought not only comedy, but sincerity to Shirley. Whether it was a silly misunderstanding or a moment of vulnerability, she made you care about her character. She wasn't just playing Shirley Feeney, she was Shirley Feeney. But behind the scenes, things weren't always as sunny. As the series wore on, the intense filming schedule, growing creative differences, and personal stress began to wear on Cindy and Penny's once tight bond. Rumors of off-screen tension circulated in tabloids. Some exaggerated, some rooted in reality. Then, in 1982, during the show's 8th season, Cindy became pregnant with her first child. She expected support. Instead, she faced pushback. The producers were unwilling to accommodate her pregnancy into the storyline, or adjust filming schedules around her health and family needs. Feeling unheard and increasingly frustrated, Cindy made a difficult decision. She left the show after filming only 2 episodes that season. It was the end of an era. Though Laverne and Shirley limped on without her, the heart of the show, its joyful, heartfelt friendship, was gone. The series was canceled soon after. For Cindy, it was a painful goodbye, but one made in defense of something more important than fame: her child, her boundaries, and her well-being. Years later, time softened old wounds. Cindy and Penny eventually reconciled, embracing publicly and even reuniting on screen in a 2013 episode of Sam and Cat. A touching nod to their comedy roots. It was a final, beautiful moment together before Penny Marshall's passing in 2018. Their story of collaboration, conflict, and eventual closure is one of the most iconic friendships in classic TV history. And even today, when audiences hear that famous opening theme or see 2 best friends dancing down the street, they remember the magic, the laughter, the love. Cindy Williams helped shape an entire generation of television and left a legacy that still echoes through sitcoms today. Life after Shirley, reinvention, resilience, and a career that never stopped. When Cindy Williams walked away from Laverne and Shirley in 1982, many assumed her time in the spotlight was over. They were wrong. Though she left one of television's most iconic roles, Cindy never left acting, storytelling, or the stage. What followed was a quieter, but no less meaningful chapter of her career. In 1979, she had reprised her breakout role as Laurie in More American Graffiti, the sequel to George Lucas's original hit. While the film didn't match the critical acclaim of the first, it allowed Cindy to return to a character that had launched her into stardom. Then came a wave of new projects, as she transitioned into different genres, trying her hand at drama, offbeat comedy, and heartfelt family fare. In 1985, she starred in a pilot called Joanna, about a woman who follows her boyfriend to New York, only to be left behind and start over from scratch. The show had potential. It mirrored the themes of female independence and reinvention Cindy had long championed. But the network passed on picking it up. That same year, a long-delayed project finally surfaced: the quirky sci-fi comedy Euphoria, which Cindy filmed years earlier alongside Fred Ward and Harry Dean Stanton. It was strange. It was funny. And it proved once again that Cindy wasn't afraid to take risks or embrace the unconventional. Throughout the late 80s and into the 90s, she kept one foot in the sitcom world. In 1990, she returned to the small screen with Normal Life, and shortly after starred in Getting By, a heartfelt comedy about two single mothers, one black and one white, raising their families together. It wasn't a ratings juggernaut, but the show was praised for its multicultural storytelling and emotional honesty. Cindy's portrayal of Kathy Hale, a wise, warm, working mom, reminded audiences that her comedic timing and sincerity were as sharp as ever. She made guest appearances on series like 8 Simple Rules and Law & Order, SVU, showing that she could still captivate audiences with just a scene or two. But as her screen time gradually slowed, something unexpected happened. Live theater called. In the 2000s, Cindy found a new home, on stage. She toured the country in beloved productions like Grease, Nonsense, and Death Trap, charming audiences with her signature mix of warmth, mischief, and grace. And in 2007, she achieved a milestone, her Broadway debut. Stepping into the role of Mrs. Tottendale in the hit musical The Drowsy Chaperone, Cindy lit up the Marquis Theater with her signature spark. Theatergoers praised her performance, funny, tender, and delightfully eccentric. She also reunited with Laverne and Shirley castmate Eddie Mecca in regional theater, keeping the bond alive for longtime fans who still remembered their early days of bottle caps and brewery laughs. Cindy never forgot where she came from, or who her fans were. In 2013, she reunited with Penny Marshall one final time in a special guest appearance on Sam and Cat, the Nickelodeon series starring Jeanette McCurdy and Ariana Grande. The episode paid loving tribute to the duo's roots in physical comedy, friendship, and heart. It was a fitting farewell to their on-screen chemistry. Then, in 2015, she pulled back the curtain even more. She released her memoir titled Shirley, I Jest, co-written with Dave Smitherman. It wasn't a scandal-filled Hollywood tell-all. It was funny, honest, and full of heart, just like her. Cindy shared behind-the-scenes stories, childhood memories, and reflections on fame, motherhood, and meaning. It gave fans a glimpse of the woman behind the laughter, a woman who never lost her humility, her love for storytelling, or her deep appreciation for every twist and turn in her journey. That same year, she partnered with Visiting Angels, a national home care agency, lending her voice to promote elder care and family support, causes she truly believed in. Even as the spotlight faded, Cindy Williams never stopped giving back, never stopped performing, and never stopped being the quietly radiant soul that fans fell in love with decades before. The legacy she left behind, a tribute to Cindy Williams. Cindy Williams was so much more than just a sitcom star. While millions came to know and love her as the spunky, endearing Shirley Feeney on Laverne and Shirley, her real legacy stretched far beyond the screen. Cindy was a woman of many layers, an artist, a mother, a quiet force of compassion, and a soul deeply rooted in faith. Her career may have placed her in the limelight, but she never let fame define her. Instead, she embraced a quieter, more meaningful mission in life: to love deeply, live sincerely, and leave every space better than she found it. Whether she was raising her children, caring for animals, or standing up for causes close to her heart, Cindy embodied humility, warmth, and integrity. She didn't chase headlines or crave the spotlight. She found joy in the little things, shared laughter, heartfelt connections, and a life anchored in purpose. And while she didn't leave behind a mansion or a sprawling media empire, what she did leave behind is immeasurable. Her true legacy? Kindness without condition, humility without pretense. A gentle reminder that some of the most brilliant stars don't always shine the loudest, but their light lingers the longest. As we remember Cindy Williams, we invite you to reflect on what made her so special. Was it her comedic timing? Her authenticity on and off camera? Or the way she made you feel like she was a friend, not just a character? Share your memories below. What was your favorite role of Cindy's? What inspired you most about her life and journey? And if you're new to her story or simply want to relive those unforgettable moments, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Classic Hollywood, where the legends never fade and the stars always shine. Cindy Williams may have taken her final bow, but the love she left behind still plays on.